Hello again and welcome back to the PhatPhish Guitar Studio. I'm Dave and this is another video talking about chord progressions. As I did a video recently talking about the Andalusian progression, and that got me thinking about progressions that they're so ubiquitous, they're so well known that we've given them names. And probably the most famous chord progression is the 12-bar blues. Some almost take it for granted. It's one of those first progressions that we learn. But it's actually incredibly versatile. You hear it all over the place, not strictly in blues, you hear it in other styles of music as well. And I was just thinking, that Andalusian progression was a minor progression. I thought, yeah, we think about the major 12-bar blues, but what about the 12-bar blues in minor? So let's talk about that in this video. But before we do, let's quickly recap what the basic 12-bar blues chord progression is. So basically it's using the 1, 4 and 5 chords, the basic chords, the fundamental chord sounds of any key. So if we're playing in a major key, the 1, 4 and 5 chords are all major type chords. If we're playing in the key of, let's say, A major, we've got 4 bars of A major, which is the 1 chord, followed by 2 bars of D major, which is the 4 chord, then 2 bars of A major again, which is the 1 chord. Then we've got a bar of E major, which is the 5 chord, a bar of D major, 4 chord again, and then 2 bars of A major as the 1 chord. And if you put them together into a progression, you get something that sounds like this. Yeah, that should sound really familiar. 12-bar blues using major chords. And playing over the top of that, you've got loads of scale options, major pentatonic, major blues, Mixolydian mode works really well, a few others. The minor pentatonic and the minor blues work incredibly well. And by rights they shouldn't, because you're playing major chords, minor scale over the top of that. Why does that work? It's part of the bluesy thing, that blues has this sort of major minor tonality going on. But let's think about just minor. Those chords there were in a major key, the 1, 4 and 5 chord of a major key. What about if we took those chords and instead of playing from the key of A major, we played the parallel minor, we played A minor. And the chords in that key, the 1 chord would be A minor, the 4 chord would be D minor, and the 5 chord would be E minor. So same root notes as we have for the major 12-bar blues, but we're playing minor chords rather than major. So it sounds fairly obvious. That is basically a 12-bar blues in a minor key, the traditional 4 bars of 1, 2 bars of 4, 2 bars of 1, a bar of 5, a bar of 4 and 2 bars of 1. And it's got a minor kind of sound, but it's still got that distinctive 12-bar blues feel, but it's in a minor feel. So you see what I mean? It's still distinctively 12-bar blues, but it's also distinctively minor. And in terms of options for playing over the top of that, for me, because we're hearing minor chords underneath, it wants minor type scales over the top, so minor pentatonic, minor blues, even the natural minor itself to really bring out the minor sound of the progression works well. Trying to play like a major blues or Mixolydian mode or something like that, it doesn't really work as well for me. I think when you're hearing that the 12-bar blues using minor chords, it wants more of a minor lead line. Your mileage may vary. Try recording a progression yourself and playing over the top of it and see what you think. You may agree, you may disagree. There's no right or wrong answers. Music theory is some building blocks, but once you understand what's going on, you treat them as guidelines rather than hard and fast rules. Just go with whatever your ear tells you is best. But yeah, that is the minor 12-bar blues. So there's no great revelations there. The fact that we can take a progression that was played with major chords, substitute in minor chords. Yeah. So what we do, what else can we do with that? Well, there's other variations, and one which I'll touch on is another 12-bar blues, but it's actually a different set of chords. And so one's a little bit more interesting. It's one you'll hear all over the place, you will recognize it. And it starts off with the same basic form that we have, 4 bars of the one chord, in this case the A minor chord, if we're playing in the key of A minor, starting on the one chord. 2 bars of the 4 chord, so in this case D minor, back to 2 bars of the one chord, A minor in our example key. No change there. It all gets interesting in the next 2 bars, where instead of going up to the 5 chord, we actually go to a 6 chord. Now, if we quickly just look at the chords in the key of A minor, so we're going to use as an example. If you look at the chords in the key of A minor, you'll see that the flat 6 chord, because in the 6th chord, because we're playing around a minor progression, a minor key, in the natural minors, the 6th degree is flat, so really we should be saying it's the flat 6 chord. In the key of A minor, the flat 6 chord is F major. So for we're playing a minor progression here, we're introducing chords from the minor key, some of which are major. So we're going to be bringing in the F major chord. We're going to be playing the flat 6 chord here. Then after that, we play the 5 chord. But rather than playing the minor chord, we're actually going to play a major as well. So we're going to play an E major there, and then go back and play 2 bars of the one chord, the A minor. So that sounds a bit interesting, in that we're playing some different chords, and the fact we're playing a chord which isn't diatonic to the key. We'll come back to that. Let's just start off hearing how that sounds. Just the way that kind of grabs you, because I think we're so used to hearing that 12-bar blues style that we played at the start of this video, that when the ear's ready for you to go from that one chord to the 5, you actually go a little bit higher and you play that F major chord. It's kind of suddenly it's interesting. I've said this before, music's all about the balance between tension and release, making the listener feel comfortable in some regards, but then throwing in bits of tension and things that maybe they weren't expecting, just to keep their attention and wonder what's happening next. And that's a good example where we've got a very established chord progression in the 12-bar blues, but we're playing a chord that's from outside of that. So yeah, those 2 extra chords, we're playing an F major, and we're also playing an E major. And E major is interesting because we should be by rights playing an E minor. The reason that works, and this has some overlap to what I was talking about in that video about the Andalusian progression, is in a minor key you can substitute on the 5th chord. Rather than playing a minor chord, you can play a major. It's a chord, technically it's on loan, or it's substituted in from the harmonic minor, and rather than having a flat 3rd degree, it has a natural 3rd degree. So normally we'd be expecting to play E minor there. We're actually playing E major. If I played that progression going from F major to E minor, does that work? Well, let's hear it in the context of the progression and judge for yourself. It works. I think that the major chord substitution in that context sounds better, but better is subjective. You may disagree. There's a use case where playing that progression using a minor chord is much better. It's a much better option. But to my ear, just doing a side-by-side comparison, I prefer the major. The reason the major works is it just gives you a better impetus to go back to that one chord. So, minor 12-bar blues. Yes, it's a thing. We're very used to hearing 12-bar blues in major, but we can play 12-bar blues in minor, and it works really well. And there's a couple of variations there. If you play around with it, I'm sure you can come up with your own. Like I said in the previous video, looking at ways we could treat the Andalusian progression, the ideas that we looked at in that video could also apply here, where you introduce different chord types. So I've just been playing straight major or minor chords here. I could be playing 7 chords or 9s, all sorts of extensions or suspended chords or whatever. So there's some basic ideas. Take those away and experiment yourself and see what you find that works well to your ears. Showing you a couple of variations there on the 12-bar blues, just playing it with minor chords rather than major. That's one way, or that slightly different way of closing it down in the last 4 bars, where instead of just playing 4, 5, so instead of just playing 5, 4, 1, 1, we've got flat 6, 5, 1, 1. Other variations are available, and once you've heard this progression, it's kind of on your radar. You will hear it in loads of other places. Thriller's Gone by B.B. King is an example that comes immediately to mind. Sexual Harassment in the Workplace by Frank Zappa at the other end of the spectrum is another, again, just based on a fairly straightforward 12-bar blues in a minor key. So there you go. Plenty there, hopefully, to go away and for you to experiment with and get creative. Hope you enjoyed that. If you did, please click like down there. If you really enjoyed it and you want to see other videos that are posted on the channel, then please click subscribe, which is also down there, and click that little bell icon next to it so you get notified of any other videos that I upload onto the channel. As always, you're welcome to leave a comment. I don't get told by YouTube very often when people leave comments on videos, so if there's something specifically you want to draw to my attention, ask me a question about music theory, guitar playing, guitar equipment, anything at all, you're better off going here, fill that form in, question comes direct to me, and I can get around to answering it in a future video. Okay, that's all for now. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now.